Welcome to the quick explainer video on the introduction to data and research. As always, more information is in the reading, assignment, discussion, and other videos.
We had to have a quick change in narrators. There are two general data formats, tabular and database. Tabular data is like a lot of spreadsheets you might have seen. Database formats can be a lot more complicated, but can hold many data dimensions. We will focus on tabular data in this class. Tabular data can generally be found in wide and long formats. The difference on this can really be seen in the R documentation for pivot wider and pivot longer. Longer data might have multiple rows per observation, in addition to having multiple observations. For instance, if we are measuring height and weight of individuals in the class, multiple times throughout the term, we might organize the data such that each row is a person and a time and a height and weight. Each observation would take 2 rows. That would be long format. You could also format the data such that each row contains all of the data for a single individual, both height and weight, for each observation. There are reasons you might choose either of these formats or one in between, but we will cover those as they become relevant. Depending on what you are planning to study, you might choose to conduct either a randomized trial or an observational study. As an economist, I am typically unable to use randomized trials for practical and ethical reasons. We also need to consider the scope of the study. The population refers to the entire group of individuals you are interested in studying. You might conduct a census to collect this data. Samples are used for cost reduction. Some individuals are chosen via a chosen method to represent the population. As the previous slide mentioned, there are a few ways to choose a sample. Convenience sampling, potentially the worst method, involves selecting individuals who are easily accessed. For example, a survey on campus only interviewing students who come out of the library. Stratified sampling involves sampling from subgroups. Typically, this is done to ensure adequate representation across groups in the population. You might do this if you were surveying farmers and wanted to make sure you had a representative sample across sizes of operation. Finally, random sampling involves choosing individuals at random to study. Let's put it together into a single example. Suppose you want to study the effects of a fertilizer on yield. You conduct a randomized trial. You could also conduct an observational study observing fields that do and do not use the fertilizer. If you chose to conduct an observational study, you could use either random or stratified sampling, depending on how representative you thought a random sample would be. The population we would want to consider would be all of the fields that could use the fertilizer. A study like this could be evidence of the effectiveness of the fertilizer. I hope this video was helpful. See you in the next video.